Hello everyone, thank you for joining us in this live. Today we will talk about smart city careers. Our experts and the MSc Engineers for Smart Cities alumni will share their experience and perspective on the evolution of the smart city sector, as well as smart city related jobs and skills. Please let me introduce the speakers. Matteo Caglioni, Associate Professor in Geography and Geomatics at Université Côte, Program Director of the MSc Engineers for Smart Cities. Ariana Calza, Program Coordinator of the MSc Engineers for Smart Cities. Speakers joining us online: Paolo Maura, Head of Innovation and Strategic Partnerships at IMREDD. Valentina Voloni, FlexGrid Project Manager at Cap Energy. Fabian Artemon, Mobility Project Manager at ONIS. On behalf of our alumni, there are Marion Chevalier, Consultant at Urbanomy EDF Group. John-Paul Thompson, Urban Mobility Consultant at ONIS. This year's student, Isabelle Belliard, who is currently doing her internship at Cyrodiil as Smart City Manager. And myself, Eugénie Bautaga, Recruitment and Admissions Officer of MSc Engineers for Smart Cities. This webinar will last 1 hour. We will have 45 minutes of live discussion, followed by 15 minutes of Q&A. So if you have questions, please ask them by chat. We will answer them one by one. And even if we don't have enough time to answer all the questions, we will post them on our website. After the webinar, we will send you a link with a survey to get your feedback and the suggestions for future webinars. I will leave the floor to Ariana to explain you the purpose of this webinar.
Thank you very much, Eugénie, and welcome everyone. I'd like to start by saying that the webinar is organized by IMREDD, which stands for Mediterranean Institute for Risks, Environment and Sustainable Development, for those who haven't seen the video just played now. So IMREDD is the Innovation and Partnerships Institute of Université Côte, and it powers synergies and partnerships between the academia with industries and local authorities, with the aim to really to develop projects and applied research, as well as training courses on smart city domains, as well as sustainable development. The four main areas of our interaction and strategy are mobility, energy, environment, risks, and resilience. So the purpose of today's webinar is to shed light on the concept of smart cities, first of all, and the development of drives in sectors such as energy, mobility, and urban design, and as well as the competencies and the skill sets that you need to thrive in this kind of job market. I hope that the experience shared by experts and our students may provide insightful information to all participants. So let's go.
Thank you very much, Ariana. So I would like to ask the first question to you, Matteo. We often hear that smart city is a modern city with skyscrapers, a city equipped with sensors and cameras to collect data. Is this really the case?
Thank you, Eugénie. Freestanding towers, functional zoning, high density neighbor are not something new. All these belong in what we call modern or international paradigm in urban planning. If you think that smart city is a bunch of high-rise building, sensor, and camera, you are wrong. The smart city concept received an increasing attention during the last 2 decades. It could be seen like an answer to the recent urban challenges, such as rapid expansion of urban population, traffic congestion, global energy consumption, greenhouse gas emissions, and economic competitiveness, and also the rising citizen expectation. Unfortunately, or fortunately from another point of view, there is no specific model or prototype that you can apply identically all over the world. We need to take into account the local specificities. Every city is unique. It could be smart in different domains, such as energy, mobility, urban design, governance, and economy. In geography and urban planning, the concept of smart city is more related to innovative and intelligent growth, not increasing the amount of technology in every sector of the city. A smart city is not only a connected city. Connected city is a concept even older than smart cities. A city which invests on permaculture, for example, could be considered smart. Low tech could be smart. Governance could be smart. In 2013, Barcelona was one of the first smart cities of Europe. IBM chose Barcelona thanks to its sensor network and all technology applied to the city to foster the economic growth and to guarantee a higher quality of life for its citizens. But nowadays, Barcelona is shifting from smart sensor to smart governance. Smart governance is not something you can see, like a sensor around the cities or a dashboard with data, but you can appreciate its benefits over the city. Cities are smart if they start from the people needs. Of course, sensor and data are helpful to check if something wrong in the city functioning, or they are useful for daily management of urban system and urban activities. But they should not be used to keep an eye on the population. First of all, because as we know in social science and human science, people are not like bacteria that you can observe with a microscope, but they react to the observer. For example, how many of you slow down your car when you approach a radar on the street? That doesn't mean you respect the road limits. And the same way, you don't need to use sensor and data and big data to take decision either, because we have a lot of information, but they are really partial. They are a lot of information about few peoples, so we cannot build cities for just few people. And someone already tried to ask to computer the sense of life and to answer this kind of question, and probably you know the answer was 42. We could build an efficient and optimized city, but if people doesn't want to live there, it will be a real failure. So what we need to do is put citizens at the center of innovation, and to build a smart city, we need first build the smart citizen, the people who will live in this type of city of the future.
Thank you very much, Matteo. So as we were talking about governance, Paula, you are head of innovation and strategic partnerships at IMREDD, and you're at the forefront of smart city projects in the city of Nice and other municipalities in the region. Can you share with us your experience and your point of view on the role of governance in smart city management?
So I think, first of all, we need to share, I'd like to share with you today what the governance means. Because when you talk about governance, normally we think about public governance. You think about government. And as Matteo said, the governance, actually, we have different levels of governance in a city. The first one is the social and moral framework. So everything related to ethics is related to that. So the values that you learn at home, from society, at school, those things, it's a kind of governance. A second one is the social contract. If you come back to the earliest, in 1762, when you talk about Jean-Jacques Rousseau, all the philosophers about the social contract, it's something important. It's how community organize themselves, how they agree to each other to live in community. That's important. It's another level of governance. It's still present today, and we need to understand those things. And then we have the commercial and productive arrangements. So for us, that is important because as a head of partnership, Partnership is something that we do with a contract or without a contract. Sometimes just join forces because we have the main goal together. We want to reach something, and we just put the forces together. And that kind of arrangement also is a kind of governance. And then you have the public governance, the laws and the rules that normally it's done by the government. But in a smart city, you has also a different kind of governance. For example, the architecture is something that you can say the urban form. It's a kind of governance. If you come back to the Haussmann in Paris, the way that they change the form of the city of Paris to address governance, to address population, to control population. So even the urban form, it's a kind of governance. So urban contract, a social framework, social contract, partnerships, public governance, urban form, we are facing a lot of different forms of governance. Today, I like to bring for you, for example, from Light, to highlight that I'm working with a governance at this data life cycle governance. So how to apply governance to a data life cycle, from the collect data until to the diffusion of the data, the publishing of the data. So the whole cycle of the data should be organized by us to work together. Because today, when we talk about interoperability of data, something is a big word, it's hard even to say. It's complicated because people generate data, but you have to make the data connect to each other. And then you need a kind of governance. You have to put together a set of rules. It's not imposed, it's something that we suggest. And then you have to work together. And we have to convince the partners day by day to join forces with us. And when you achieve that, you start to make things happen. And that is a smart city. Because governance, from the beginning of the city, if you take the definition of the city, the definition of the city is a political, social, and economic structure used by humans to organize themselves. That's a city. We talk about smart city, the defense city, the sustainable city, green city. Actually, city is just a way that we human beings put social, economical, and political structure to organize them ourselves. So if you have that in mind, we need to understand that smart city is there to foster local economic development, generate quality jobs, and reduce social fracture. Inequality is a big issue today. So a smart city is not just a mobility plan, well done. It's people have a nice and a decent life quality. The people who can eat 3 times a day, that's a smart city. And we need to put all the governors, organize themselves to do that. So in my point of view, during the projects, that's that we want to work here at IMREDD and in the region. So because we are smart because of that. It's not because we put a lot of sensors or because we have a nice mobility plan or because we work with governance, data governance. It's because everything that we've done here, we do because we want to foster local economic development.
Thank you very much, Paolo, for this detailed overview. Valentina, your professional and educational background is linked to environmental engineering, renewable energy research, and management of green and low carbon projects. In your opinion, in the context of ever-growing cities, how can we meet the challenge of increasing energy consumption?
Thank you, Eugenie. Certainly, the way we produce and consume energy contributes greatly to the climate change challenge, most of all in urban context. Just remember that the building and construction sector accounts for 40% of carbon dioxide emissions. In my opinion, to succeed in mitigating the effects of climate change, smart cities need to use energy efficiently, to integrate more renewable energy sources, and they need also to decarbonize the energy uses. As an example, producing photovoltaic electricity on the roof of a building for self-consumption won't make sense if the building is poorly thermally insulated or use inefficient electricity equipment. we can follow the same reasoning for all the energy consuming sectors, such as industry, transport, or mobility. The first effort should be done in reducing and optimize energy consumption. Then integration of renewable energy sources to replace fossil fuels, solar, hydro, wind, biomass power. Here another challenge arises, which is the weather dependency of some of these sources, as solar or wind. Production time doesn't always correspond to consumption time. Reliable energy, storage energy assets, energy flexibilities and communication technologies can be used to help find the balance between production and consumption. Classic energy networks need therefore to be deeply reconfigured to integrate decentralized generation of renewable sources on a large scale and to promote demand-driven supply by providing the final consumer with tools and services that allow them to know their personal consumption and therefore to act on it. We say that consumers become prosumers. And that's what we call smart grids. So smart grids nowadays optimize energy systems are essential to achieve the targets of the Paris Agreement and to decrease emissions from greenhouse gases. And finally, I was saying decarbonize energy uses. We have to replace, for example, thermal vehicles with electric vehicles. Here again, optimization of transfers and journeys is essential to decongest cities. And of course, electricity should come from renewable sources and not from fossil fuels. Hydrogen can also help decarbonization of uses if it is produced with renewables. Green hydrogen will allow renewable energy storage, for example, with deployment of power to gas technology. And also I would like to add that nowadays, all of these aspects of energy transition are fully linked with digitalization. So digitalization, artificial intelligence can also help efficient energy management and renewable energy integration.
Valentina, for sharing your expertise. Fabian, the mobility sector is one of the most rapidly evolving ones and has a direct impact on citizens' daily lives. For the past 15 years, you have been working in the urban mobility sector and have witnessed its changes. How has this sector evolved? What are its main challenges?
Hi everybody. Thanks for the question. So I'm a witness of the evolution of the urban mobility sector for the last 15 years, particularly in the public transports. There have been many developments in different areas. However, I have chosen to focus on two areas in particular: the development of video protection and the collection of data. As far as the video protection is concerned, in 15 years, I have seen an explosion in the number of devices installed, from few on a bus line in 2005 to several hundred on a tram line in 2020. However, the number of people assigned to the control of the device has not been multiplied. As a result, a challenge is emerging in this area. It's the implementation of device, including through integrating IA, which will make it possible to process all the image, but all the devices must be compatible with RGPD. Secondly, the device can only look on the moment or in the past. The interest of this device is limited to be a decision support tool in the smart city field. However, they remain of a powerful tool for visualizing the localized functioning of the city. This tool must be guided by a supervision device. The second area concerns the collection of data. 50 years ago, data collection was long and complex. For example, for public transport, tickets were magnetic strips, destination surveys were carried out by human beings, etc., etc. Today, we have electronic tickets, navigation application, some different tools. And in short, a lot of digital data is collected by real times. Today, for example, today, on a tram line built in 2020, it's possible to know how many people were in a tramway in real time, to know the number and location of ascent and descent of the tramway, to measure the OD matrix for passenger, to know the position and occupation of each train. We can measure the traffic in the vicinity. So all this data is gathered in the Transport Network Operation Center. However, this data is often left raw and not processed. Consequently, the challenge of tomorrow is how to process this mass of data. For what purpose? We can list the following objectives: to measure the level of service of the network's operation, to identify an operation problem, to test and validate the future project. With this kind of data, we can make a better city, a smart city. All the processing data is a tool to develop a complete model of a city for testing and validate all the new projects. I think it's a great goal for smart city to use the mobility, for example.
Thank you very much, Fabian. Ariana, you have been program coordinator of the MSc Engineers for Smart Cities from the beginning. Together with Matteo and program and model coordinators, you designed the curriculum, taking into account the evolution of smart cities. And you also provide the link between students and the lecturers. Can you please tell us about the profile of the MSc students?
I'll be very happy to. Starting from the beginning, 2016 was the year when we started. And if at the beginning of the MSc program, we experienced an entire population, I would say like 100% of our students were coming from an engineering background. Very happy to say that today we have 60% of this population is still like coming from an engineering background, but the remaining 40% is actually coming from like more like broader areas. We have now architects, urban planners, as well as political science, environmental science, and communication, as well as marketing. So we're very satisfied, I think, with this evolution, because it means that the smart city concept is broadening up and is no longer considered as a mere deployment of technology, but rather a place where actually citizens can thrive and where solutions can be actually implemented. So this also shows that our candidates are seeking meaningful careers, opportunities, and are willing to engage in the improvement of the life and to tackle urban issues. For this, I have to say that what we like in the term engineers, let's say, like we gave the title of Engineers for Smart Cities, not because we really address to an engineering population, but actually because we like the term engineering, because not just because of the profession, but rather for its Latin etymology, where it comes, which means ingenious, as we think that anyone may have ingenious insights, and despite the profiles, despite the profession, because it's rather an attitude. And this is exactly the type of candidates and profiles that we want to recruit, and the type of the type of also of talents that we really want to foster. Our student population is also very heterogeneous in terms of nationalities, because we cover, I would say, most of all the regions of the world, and but also in terms of the age. We like to think that innovation comes from interaction, and it means like interacting also by age, having like mixing in one cohort, younger graduates like seeking for their first like job on the market, but also with experienced professionals and practitioners who have 5 to 10 years work experience, and that actually the combination of the two, the ideas of the two, can actually facilitate or like help to boost maybe new innovation ideas. That's it. So this is what I would like to share with you today.
Thank you very much, Ariana. So as we are now talking about students' profile, let's listen to the testimony of this year's student, Isabelle Belliard. Isabel is currently doing her internship at Cyrodiil as Smart City Manager. Isabel, please tell us about your background, your current position and missions, and why you decided to join this study program.
Thank you, Eugenie, and good afternoon, everybody. So I am coming from the United States. I'm 33, and I have 10 years of marketing experience in the nonprofit and public sector in the United States. And I always wanted to work towards making the world a better place. And especially with this urgent need for climate action, I really wanted to do more to contribute. I also have an interest in urban planning and specifically human-centric approaches, which Matteo alluded to. So helping cities become more sustainable, more resilient, and more inclusive is where I feel I can make a difference and where I can contribute to both saving the environment and also improving the quality of life. Coming from a non-technical background, the MSc Engineers for Smart Cities program was a perfect fit because of the multidisciplinary approach. So of course, I obtained new technical competencies that I didn't have before, but also was able to borrow from my past experiences and contribute to the group. And now that I'm in my internship experience after the coursework, I feel like I have a well-rounded knowledge of how a city generally functions and how the systems within the city are all interconnected. And of course, living in Nice in the French Riviera is an added bonus. So I had landed an internship thanks to the professional connections that I made through this program. So we have guest speakers who come in addition to the teachers who are part of the program. And it's thanks to these connections that I landed the internship that I have currently as a smart city manager at a French company called Cyrodiil. So what is Cyrodiil? It's a provider of city digital twins, which is a 3D model of a city where they aggregate and bring together all of the city's data in one place. Cyrodiil is also the creator of a simulation software called Smart City Explorer. And we use this to assess the impacts of urban transformations and also conduct scenario analysis. And all of this is with the goal of co-constructing sustainable smart cities and imagining the city of tomorrow. So a little bit more about my role as a smart city manager. My first client is the Principality of Monaco. And Cyrodiil already built Monaco's digital twin. So now we're taking them to the next step. We're helping them develop more use cases. And one example is the Seaworthy project, which uses thermal energy from seawater in the Mediterranean Sea to heat and cool buildings in the city. This is a huge part of Monaco's energy transition, and the goal, it also helps them reach their goal of reaching carbon neutrality by 2050. And I'm excited that I get to help them design the 3D maps and integrate the city's data to ultimately help inform the community. So again, referring to the smart citizen that Matteo mentioned, making sure that the citizen is aware of the changes happening in their city. So I'd say that the tasks that I'm performing during this internship are a wide range of project management, client relations. I'm using some marketing, also learning some data analysis, as well as geographic information systems, 3D mapping, and of course, keeping the user experience in mind. So it's been a wonderful experience, and I know that in the future, this is just the beginning of a really prosperous career in smart cities. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Isabel. Ariana, what are the strengths of the MSc Engineers for Smart Cities, its special features and differences from other study programs?
Sure. Well, as Isabel has already briefly introduced, there are a few features that I think that are important to share with you today. First of all, we decided to give a 360 degrees perspective to the smart cities so that students can gain really an holistic approach and an overview of urban challenges and discuss possible solutions. We wanted to tackle the city or to address the city in a multidisciplinary way so that we combine different modules that go from or that include energy, mobility, urban design, governance in general, general, as well as business challenges, but also very technical modules for like that could be considered as transversal models, like the connected city, so all the sensors, smart sensors, and the deployment of infrastructures, as well as artificial intelligence and data, so the importance of data in a smart city. And so that students actually in this way, but all modules are considered like equally important. And this means that students afterwards can decide in which module they prefer to really to concentrate, which one they prefer to take into the second step, and then go into and to make it, as Isabel did, for example, turn it into an internship. The program lasts over 1 year, and it's divided into 2 semesters. One semester is taught in Nice, so it's academic lectures, mainly in Nice, and the second semester is dedicated to internship. And basically, let's say we decided to have to design the program over just 1 year, because we really wanted to address the needs of not only young graduates, but also of experienced professionals that are willing to take maybe like a gap year, a break from their profession, and really to concentrate and to enter, to go back to university and to put themselves, you know, to challenge themselves again with their studies, and to maybe go deep to, let's say, deepen a knowledge in one specific field. And this is also the opportunity to choose either go for the MSc, the entire MSc program, or to choose one of the different modules that we offer. So it's up to you. And considering the current sanitary situation, we were able last year to provide all our classes online. So students were able to connect remotely if they could not be able to reach us in Nice. Apart from the, let's say, the very organizational aspects of the program, we also there are some specific things that we would like to share, and it's basically how we teach the modules. So we do have experts and leading research experts, really leading the research areas, but also we augment all these modules with professionals and experts in their fields. Like, for example, we have experts today from ONIS, for example. We have professionals really that are CEOs or project managers from companies or startups or local authorities, really working in one of the modules, in the modules that we teach. We also organize on-site visits so that students can really have a direct exchange with professionals, and they are able to create a strong professional network, and that could like land, for example, internships in the future, or why not also jobs. And it also helps students to see how the real life is, because it's always easy to talk about, let's say, how innovation works, how technology can actually work, how perfect smart cities can be when we are within the university, or when we are like, when everything is written on paper. But what is important is to see how actually people are trying to make it work outside in the real world. So that's why we also complete the work, also the program, with workshops and practical courses, because we really we think that they're an essential component of the program, because students can really work in teams and be really confronted with real case studies. For example, we have one of the case studies this year was on energy, on our energy positive building. So we do have a real case studies in-house, and students can actually see what it means for an energy positive building, what it means, so that we produce all our energy, let's say, from solar PV panels, installed on the rooftop, and then also from our vertical wind turbine, and then how everything is stored in lithium-ion batteries, and also how electric vehicles come and into, let's say, into the picture, and how energy and mobility also interact between the two sectors. Last but not least, there is something also, like, the fun part is not only the extracurricular activities that we organize with students, but it's mainly the study trip. Every year we take students and we organize with students. Mainly it's the students that organize this. It's a study trip to a smart city in the world, We've been in Singapore, we've been in Barcelona, and we've also been to Paris. And it's an amazing experience because the students get to really meet the main actors of smart cities all over the world, and they actually see the constraints, the challenges, but also the big opportunities. And these kind of activities instill very much a sense of belonging for all students, which when you're an international student living abroad, it's always very, very good to feel that you have a family to return to. So this is, I think, the main features that I'd like to share with you.
Thank you, Ariana. So in this webinar, our alumni Marion Chevalier and Jean-Paul Thompson joined us to share their experience as the MSc Engineers for Smart Cities students and to tell us about their current work experience. Marion, you joined the program as continuing education student. Please tell us about your learning experience, your current job, and the skills acquired through the study program.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Thanks again for the invitation. Yeah, so in a few words, I'm Marion, and as mentioned by Eugenie, I joined the program as a continuing education student after several years spent in the EDF group. So I would say that I joined the MSc Engineers for Smart Cities because I really wanted to change my career path, and I realized that I wanted to work in a field where I could contribute concretely to the development of territory or of a city, and yeah, really to make a positive impact to the community and make something meaningful, as mentioned Ariana before. And therefore I needed to, some kind of training in the topic, as my former topic was a very different one. So yeah, I chose the IMREDD training because several things appeal to me as a professional choosing to go back to school. So yeah, first of all, I was very appealed by the short format of the training, which I found very adapted to when you go back to school after a few years spent in the private sector, as the MSc's format indeed reconciles a theoretical part, as Ariana mentioned, with a lot of very concrete teaching, practical case, and visits on the ground. And also with a 4 to 6 month internship, which was definitely, I would say, a big plus in the training. Then I also really wanted to have a training with multidisciplinary approach, as I wish to discover different topics, same as Isabelle, and challenges related to cities and territories without having to specialize too soon. And in that sense, I would say that the MSc offered this broad variety of topics, as already mentioned earlier. And on what kind of skill the training brought me, I would simply say that, first of all, it allowed me to discover the different subjects of the city and the territory of tomorrow, and to acquire a general culture of the various subjects. So this training really fed my curiosity, and it also allowed me to confirm my desire to specialize in the field of the city and the territory. Then I would say that it also allowed me to make experience through the internship part and to put into practice the discovered teachings, as I got the chance to work for the Smart City program of a big city in Finland, which was extremely interesting and allowed to put all the teachings into perspective. And finally, it also reinforced my ability to work on group projects with a team and to develop project management skill, especially through the project module, which I found very enriching and challenging as well. And yes, I would say these skills are all obviously skills that I use today, every day in my current job, since I work for Urbanomy. So to tell you a bit more about Urbanomy, it's a subsidiary of the EDF group, whose objective is to advise cities and real estate developers in their projects to build or rehabilitate a district or to implement a low carbon approach, for example. And that's basically my daily job, providing consultancy to actors in charge of improving cities or urban spaces. So I would really say that in my case, the training allowed me to get closer to the field that interested me and to work today very concretely to build the cities and territories of tomorrow, and also to master well a systemic and complex approach, which I would say is also very core to the training. So the Master Engineers for Smart City was definitely a career enabler in my case. And that's it.
Thank you. Perfect. Thank you very much, Marion. Jean-Paul, you're currently working with Fabian at ONIS as urban mobility consultant. What are your missions and what are the skills you need to thrive in your job? How did the MSc program help you to develop these skills?
Hey, yes. So Fabian and I both work together in the consultancy wing of ONIS. And if I would quickly go over what ONIS does, and then I'll get into how the skills that I need, that I attained from the program play into that. So typically we get clients that own or manage an existing site or a site in development, be it public or private, and they retain us to advise them on how to manage their localized pedestrian flow, as well as other issues or concerns as they relate to mobility. So we achieve this by using our proprietary software to simulate and then analyze crowd and mobility implications on a 3D bin model of their site. So a quick example, the current hot topic, COVID-19. So the interest right now is finding the right way to safely reopen spaces in such a manner that the propagation is minimized. So combining the research knowledge on transmission with our simulation software, we study the spread of the virus within a space. And then we adjust and iterate on different parameters, such as how many people are wearing masks, changing the number of entrance passages, et cetera, whatever it might be. And eventually we narrow it down to an acceptable configuration that should be more or less optimized. So in terms of skills and how what I learned helps me do what I do today, first and foremost, there's a significant amount of data analysis. So you need to be able to break down and understand mobility data that you receive from different sources. And additionally, you need to extract the information from this data and create your own, which you then input into the software that we use. Another important skill is having a fundamental understanding on how people use space to move about and achieve their own little micro goals, and then translating this understanding into simpler programmable ideas. So firstly, the program helped me by introducing me to ONIS when they came in for a guest lecture. But more generally, the program made me rethink movement as a whole. So the mobility module, which is just one of the modules that students undertake, made me break down every step that people take when they need to go somewhere, and ask simpler questions like, what are they doing in each step? How long does each step take? What path do they need to take? What is the shortest route to get from one location to another, et cetera, et cetera. It's a lot. So me personally, I ended up doing the mobility focused project as my big integrated project at the end of the term. And the goal was to create a theoretical plan that could introduce automated vehicles into a nearby industrial zone to reduce road traffic, and by extension, the environmental impacts and everything that goes with that. So my group and I had to understand the local road network, the needs of the companies in the area, and of course, the needs of the workers who work in these companies. And then we broke down the mobility steps that people take to get into the industrial zone, and we created a plan that would benefit all the parties involved. So generally, the program helped me rethink mobility and made me look at each tiny step that we take when we need to go somewhere or do something, why we take the steps, and all of this information and knowledge that we learned and then practiced really translates well into my role here at ONIS.
Thank you very much, Jean-Paul. So now I would like to ask the question to all the speakers. Given your experience and knowledge of your field, what are the career possibilities related to smart city evolution? Marion, could you please start? Could you please be the first to answer this question?
Sure. Sorry, I'll have the video on. As far as I'm concerned, I would like to say that the possibilities are numerous, and of course, it really depends on your background, the color you wish to give to your profile, the choice of specialization you may wish to make or not. So I would say it's really up to you to shape your future career path and seize the training as an opportunity. In my case, I would like to say that it can open the doors to a certain number of consulting job where you can provide consultancy to actors seeking to reinvent their cities or district and who do not necessarily know where to start and they don't have the knowledge sometimes. So this can be positioned directly within organization. That is to say, working within a city or within an urban planning firm or in a real estate company as an advisor specializing in issues of territorial development or assistance in the ecological or energy transition of a city. And this concerns public entities or private actors who choose to have the skills in-house. And I think there is a real trend in this direction because the subjects of low carbon and issues of anchoring in the world of tomorrow are really unavoidable today. And many countries have signed the Paris Agreement, so everybody will have to achieve carbon neutrality, and for that an entity must get involved at its own level. And it can also be, as in my case, more classic consultancy position, I would say, meaning that you work for an entity specialized in consulting, which will therefore intervene afterwards for different actors on different missions. And again, there are several types of consultancy firms depending on what you aspire to. So there are firms that wish to specialize in the public sectors, other in the private sector, and other like Urbanomy that cover both types of actors. And then you also have a broad diversity of possible specialization with consultancy firms choosing to specialize in a specific topic, such as in energy, mobility, environment, citizen participation, for example. And on the contrary, you also have entities who choose to cover all topics, all subjects, and have an integrated approach, which is the case of the company I work for. So as a conclusion on my side, there are many professional possibilities in the field of consultancy in the smart city area.
Great, thank you, Marion. Paulo, I would like to know your opinion.
Yes, so perfect. I think Marion has covered a lot of subject. I'd like to add just one more thing. When you talk about smart city, actually talk about a city. So all the jobs that we can relate it to the city, even the jobs that are around the city that can supply services and products to the city, can be addressed by this kind of vision. Because a smart city, it's a new way to packaging the city. But we need to do that a different point of view. So when you talk about the formation about engineering for a smart city, they bring to you a new way to see the city. You can talk about urban farm. You can talk about entrepreneurship. We can talk about different levels of services that can be addressed to the city. The population it's getting old. The support of people, migration. We have different subjects about the city, and all those things can be addressed in a job market. But we need to be creative to do that. And to have this kind of creativity, you have to be innovating. We have to innovate. And to innovate, you need to know more things than normal. So not just the job market, but the approach, how to approach the job market is different. So and the formation, when you have the ability to understand the methodology of a smart city, how it works, how the circular causality, the causality, cause and effect, how it works at the city, you can address your formation, your background differently, and that's innovation. So to work with in a smart city today, to address those markets, you should be you should be innovating around it. As I talked to you today, Eugenie, the COVID, it's a new thing for us, for society. 2 years, and they changed the whole job structure. So home offices is pushing people. So technology, it's there. We are here today in a webinar and in a digital, physical one. So this kind of thing opens a lot of opportunity for people around the world, work with cities around the world. So new services, new jobs, a lot of different things that I have no idea yet. But if you know the methodology, if you know the subject, if you understand how to address those things related to the city, then you find a really a huge nice market area to work. Okay.
Valentina, could you please share with us your vision?
Sure. I could start from my experience first. Speaking of smart cities and largely on smart territories, I've been working for the French distribution system operator Enedis on a French demonstrator of a European project called Nismar Valley. The European project was called Interflex. And one of the objectives of the project was to secure electricity supply to an island close to Cannes in case of accidents on the electric cable relaying the island to the continent. So you can imagine the difficulty of these projects, and we could do this thanks to smart grids, smart communication, and electricity storage. And then my current job is as a project manager for Cap Energies, and Cap Energy is a cluster of companies, financial backers, and universities working in the energy transition sectors. At Cap Energies, I manage optimized energy system projects in the fixed grid program, which is a program of the south region of France, which deploys at the moment 50 projects on optimized energy systems. And I also focus on digitalization projects for our members. Then in the energy sector, and most of all in these energy transition times, I think that a smart city expert could work as an energy manager. Energy managers, we play a critical role in smart cities. Better and resource-efficient energy uses in new eco-districts. This is easy, but they also have to be able to upgrade existing districts to more sustainable ones. And an energy manager could also work for municipalities, but for a company too. For instance, it could work for an industrial company to optimize its consumption and interact with the local energy grid. Energy manager can propose and manage continuous innovation projects. They can identify and launch new high potential services to serve municipalities or companies. And they need to know to collaborate with consortium partners. This is very important, and they may need to know how to make synergies with local communities and stakeholders. Arianna, you said that innovation comes from interaction. I totally agree with you. For sure, energy managers should also have some skills in cybersecurity. As the energy sector becomes more and more digitalized, cyber threats are more frequent. And if one part of the energy chain is affected, all the energy supply chain is affected. Therefore, they should be trained and ready to implement cybersecurity solutions. And then for other job opportunities, I can think at business developers, energy project consultants, innovation engineers. They all play a fundamental role to address energy transition in smart cities.
Great, thank you, Valentina. Isabel, could you please share your point of view with us?
Yes, I would say that there are, like the other speakers have already mentioned, so many opportunities for careers in smart cities. The challenge is really deciding which one you want. So each of the modules, as have been mentioned already, really guides you to an introduction and an overview of that sector within a city. And then it's up to you to really dive deeper and pursue the topic that interests you. And then really there are so many opportunities within each topic in a smart city. And I think you can work absolutely at the city level, helping the city make decisions that impact citizens directly, or you can also work in a private or nonprofit sector that supports the cities. So there really is this whole ecosystem of a smart city that I've really learned throughout this program is very much interconnected. And so at any point you can plug yourself into one of those sections of the wheel and you can help that entire wheel continue to spin.
Thank you, Isabel. So I think it's time to go to the questions. So we received several questions. So the first one, I joined the room late. Is the meeting recorded? Yes, so the meeting is recorded, so the webinar is recorded. We will share with you afterwards the link of the replay. The next one, how can we choose an existing city that is able to transform to a smart city? Very interesting question. Paulo, could you please answer it? So how can we choose an existing city that is able to transform to a smart city?
Yeah, that is interesting. Today, we don't know yet how many cities we have in the world. So that is it's something interesting. With all technology that we have, we don't have already the numbers of how many cities do we have. So a smart city is not just a city that we reach a level and we stay there. It's an ongoing process. So once that you have an ongoing process, you can join a city that have a lot of different things going on, or you can have just a small village that need to be addressed, those kind of things. Because in the dimensions of a smart cities that we have today at IMREDD, we are going further from the density cities, and we start to analyze the territory, because we have some villages in the countryside that also should be addressed, the desertification of those cities. So if you want to choose one city, you have to, first of all, I think the best thing is understand what is a smart city. So we need to study it, we need to understand all the axes, and then you can apply it to other cities. But every city has the potential to become smart. And smart, again, is not just a level, it's a process. If you go to the dictionary and look the definition of intelligence, you understand that intelligence is the capability to turn something into another thing, to learn from something and apply it to other things. So if you do that, you can do that over and over again for all the cities around the world. And then we can share the knowledge. And when you share the knowledge with society, it's not just top down, it's a network. It's not a democracy from the top down, but it's a network. Everybody should be engaged to that. Again, CIT is just a kind of organization that humans beings create to organize themselves. So if you have a group of human beings living together, it's the beginning of the city. So you can apply it.
Great, thank you, Paulo. So we will have two more questions at the moment. So the first question from Samir: if I join the program, how do I get access to these career opportunities? Matteo, could you please ask? So if I join the program, how do I get access to the career opportunities mentioned above?
Yeah, of course. We organize during the first semester some different coaching sessions. So you will be accompanied by a professional and by the teacher, the professor inside the master, and we will understand together, the student and the professional, what is your way, because most of the students already come with some ideas. But after some period, some new information about smart city, they change totally their direction. Or maybe they want to discover different things than what they do. So the coaching period is really important for that. Then we have also, as Arianna mentioned before, we have several professionals that intervene in the courses. So they can propose you some internship and future job, probably.
Thank you very much. So we have another question from Tiffany. I'm not an engineer, I have an MBA, but I'm very interested in topics related to improvement of urban life. Can I be accepted in this program? Arianna, could you please answer?
I would just say yes. Of course, you will be welcome. I think your background as an MBA student, I think, would be a great asset to us, because we do have a module specializing on business challenges. And I think you, with this kind of reasoning that you've been doing through your MBAs, you actually know what it means, like to build a business plan, or to build, like, the business models that could be applied maybe to smart cities. So definitely yes. And as I was mentioning earlier, and as you can see from the what Isabel and Marion also shared, but neither of them has, let's say, an engineering background, but both of them were like fantastic students, and I think they were among, if not the best students of their promotion. So I think within an MBA background, you can definitely be like an eligible candidate. So then, yes, please do apply.
Thank you, Rihanna. So we have another question from Arab Karim. What is the most efficient type of renewable energy to make a successful energy transition and be able to move to the smart city? Valentina, taking into account that it's your field of activity, can you please answer this question? If you want, I can repeat. What is the most efficient type of renewable energy to make a successful energy transition and be able to move to the smart city?
Yeah, sure. I would say that there is not one energy that we have to deploy to address energy transition. I think that we have to choose a renewable energy on the basis of the local sources. If you are in a region like the south region of France, you would use solar power, or you can use hydropower because you have mountains close by. But you won't use wind because there's no wind source which is enough to supply energy to all the city. I think you have to make an audit of the sources which are available and then choose not just one, but a mix of them to be able to have energy at most of the time. Because, as we said before, solar energy, wind energy, they are weather dependent. And also you have to think about storage to make some storage of the energy when you have an excess production and use it when you have the right consumption. You can think about these energies, and we also talk about hydrogen more and more, because hydrogen is a good source of energy when it's produced with renewables. Green hydrogen could be one of the sources of the future, because they can be used in mobility and also in industry. So I mean, there's not just one source of energy which could be deployed, but I think an energy mix would be the answer.
Thank you very much, Valentina. I have another question from Kat. Could you please tell us more about the way the last academic year was run? Were all the lessons online, and were all the apprenticeships carried out online or not? What are your plans for the next academic year? Rihanna, maybe it's
very good
for you.
So let's say this current year, because it's still ongoing until the end of August. So students have been able to reach us in Nice, like most of them. It's true that we do have, I think we have 5 students who stayed remote because of visa issues and all sorts of, like, as we know, the situation. So we were able, let's say, to turn into a hybrid modality. So which means that lectures were still assured on site. So here at IMREDD, and we equipped basically the classroom with state-of-the-art learning technologies that made possible for students, remote students, to connect and follow live all the lectures and all the teaching sessions. And we did have, I think there was a very, very strong sense of bonding between all the students. And I think I thank them, and I take this opportunity to thank them, because they were able also for some of the more practical sessions really to record with their phones and share all the information, the videos and the recordings through applications like WhatsApp. And so for the remote students were actually able to follow even the practical applications. And so for this year, considering the situation, we're still, because the aspect of the program, it's true that there are some parts of the lectures can actually be assured, let's say, online. We do have an online platform. It's a virtual learning environment, which is called Moodle, and allows us to create each and every module, like a room for each and every module, where lecturers share either their pre-recorded videos that you can watch at your pace, or all the key reading materials that you can use for your own study purposes. And but still, we do strengthen we do highlight the practical applications here in IMREDD are really, I would say, essential. So we really strongly advise students to come to Nice. And considering the current situation, I think most most of them were able to join us. Next year, we will still go on site, so here. And of course, depending on what will happen, we know from the experience that we're able to switch to hybrid modality if it's necessary. And let's say all our module coordinators and all our teachers, being them academic lecturers or practitioners, they are very well experienced now in recording themselves. So I think we'll be able to assure it.
So we have several questions, so maybe I will not read all of them, but please note that we will post all the answers on our website. So even if we don't answer all the questions, you can take a look on our website, we will post them. So is the MSc Engineers for Smart Cities program connected with any local or international entrepreneurship incubator, accelerators, to increase collaborative innovation efforts in the field of smart city design and development?
Thank you for the question. I think what we could say, we are linked because as being part of the University of Côte d'Azur has an incubator within the university and helps students really to let's say to promote whatever services they want into the job market. And I could share the experience of one of our students that is currently enrolled and this year, and he's from India, and he decided as part of his internship to join this incubator. And this, if you can check online if you want, it's called Invent at UCA. And this incubator basically it's over some practical projects and real case studies where the university signs, let's say, contract with a company, and they try students come join together to propose, let's say, innovations and solutions to this company that the company could or not buy in the end. But he decided to join this program because in his, let's say, mind, in his future careers prospects, he really would like to set up his own company and propose his own services. So, you know, this is something that the university offers, and definitely, yes, we would like to offer it for next year. And also, just to share with you something within the business challenges module. In the past, we're really discussing very much on business models. Nowadays, we will also integrate a part of innovation and how innovation is happening, basically. What are the steps that bring us into innovation, and how really students could become entrepreneurs themselves.
Thank you very much, Ariana. So I think it's time to finish because it's 2:09. So thank you once again for joining us in this live. So I hope you enjoyed it and you got a lot of useful information. I remind you that we will post all the answers for unanswered questions on our website. So if you want to find out more about our study program, please visit our website. So I really hope to see you soon and have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.